The internet thought it was just another random sports headline. But within hours, one unexpected connection between Taylor Swift and Jerome Bettis started turning heads across both the music and sports worlds. At the same time, a former Pittsburgh Steelers player was beginning a tense new chapter with the Minnesota Vikings, while fans in Pennsylvania exploded over a controversial playoff moment involving the Wilkes-Barre/Scranton Penguins. 3 stories. 3 completely different worlds. But somehow, they all became connected by one thing: legacy. And what happened next revealed something deeper about fame, pressure, and the emotional cost of being in the spotlight. Sports headlines usually disappear fast. One day people are arguing online, and the next day, everyone has already moved on. But this story felt different, because buried inside those headlines was a surprisingly emotional conversation about loyalty, identity, and what happens when millions of people expect something from you every single day. And strangely enough, Taylor Swift found herself unexpectedly pulled into that conversation. For people in Pittsburgh, Jerome Bettis is more than a football player. He's a symbol of the city itself. Hardworking, tough, reliable. Fans still talk about him years after retirement because he represented something bigger than football. During a recent sports discussion about celebrity culture and pressure, Bettis reportedly spoke about the emotional weight athletes carry when entire cities depend on them emotionally. That conversation eventually reached Taylor Swift. And according to insiders, she became genuinely interested in Bettis' story and how he handled fame after retirement. Because despite living in different worlds, athletes and global music stars often experience the exact same pressures: constant criticism, endless expectations, and fear of disappointing millions of people. Meanwhile, a former Steelers player was trying to start over with the Minnesota Vikings. To fans, it looked like a normal roster move. But behind the scenes, sources said the emotional transition was much harder than people realized. Leaving a city like Pittsburgh isn't easy for players who built their entire identity there. Some fans supported him. Others called it betrayal. And while social media argued nonstop, the player reportedly struggled quietly with the pressure of proving himself all over again. At the same time, hockey fans in Wilkes-Barre were furious after a controversial playoff call during a Penguins game. Replay clips spread everywhere online. Fans accused officials of ruining the game. Sports radio exploded with angry callers. And suddenly emotions were running high across multiple sports stories at once. But the biggest surprise came when reports claimed Taylor Swift privately asked friends for more information about Jerome Bettis after seeing old interview clips. At first, people online mocked the connection. But the reason behind it shocked many fans. Taylor reportedly became fascinated by how Bettis handled life after fame and football. Not the championships. Not the fame. The aftermath. Because for global celebrities, one of the biggest fears isn't failure. It's becoming irrelevant. And Bettis handled retirement with dignity, staying grounded and connected to his community instead of chasing attention. That reportedly made a huge impression on Taylor. Late one night, Taylor was reportedly watching old NFL footage with friends. And according to insiders, the atmosphere became unexpectedly emotional. Because what she saw wasn't glamorous. It was painful. Players fighting through injuries. Athletes crying after losses. Careers ending suddenly. And in Jerome Bettis, she reportedly recognized something familiar. Someone carrying impossible expectations from millions of people. That realization hit hard. Because whether you're a football legend or one of the biggest music stars on earth, pressure can feel exactly the same. A few days later, Jerome Bettis attended a charity event and reporters asked him directly about Taylor Swift. People expected a joke. Instead, Bettis gave a surprisingly thoughtful answer. He said people who carry millions of people emotionally understand each other more than outsiders realize. The room reportedly went silent. Because suddenly, the story wasn't weird anymore. It felt real. At nearly the same time, the former Steelers player spoke publicly for the first time after joining the Vikings. For a moment during the interview, he appeared visibly emotional discussing Pittsburgh and moving on from the team. Fans online noticed immediately, and many who had criticized him earlier suddenly reacted with more empathy. Even the hockey controversy started calming down after additional replay angles complicated the original outrage. Within days, the internet moved on. New controversies replaced the old ones. But something about this story stayed with people. Because underneath all the headlines was a simple truth. Everyone fears being forgotten. Athletes fear it. Artists fear it. Celebrities fear it. And maybe that's why Taylor Swift became so interested in Jerome Bettis' legacy in the first place. Because eventually the concerts end. The stadium's empty. The cameras disappear. And when all the noise finally fades, the only thing left is the way people remember you.